What's up? Hey, hello everyone. Wow. So Alyssa and I are back going to be talking about Survivor season 35, episode 8, I believe. One episode right after the merge. Super interesting episode, I think. So my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa, and what Rachel and I were just talking about before we started this podcast is like episodes this season up until who gets voted off. So we
Yeah,
have
I
a
think
lot of feelings.
Yeah, like what we've been saying throughout this entire season about episodes being like a little bit cringy and stuff like that definitely remains true, I think. But yeah, everything up to the vote, I think it was super interesting to see. And then we are seeing a lot of advantages this season. So I guess if we just start, Lauren finds an advantage. Cole almost found it last episode Cole almost found it last episode. It was in the nails. So basically, the advantage says that you can secretly not vote at this tribal, and then you could save the vote for next tribal.
One thing I can say about like all of the different advantages is that like at least they're becoming more than just like, oh, this allows you to be safe for a vote. It's like actually having to use more strategy and stuff. So I, for one,
Yeah,
am
I really
excited.
I don't know. Yeah, I like the advantages this season. I think they're super interesting from some of like the really shitty advantages we've seen in the past few seasons, like that give one player like too much power or like the advantage like puts you basically on the chopping block because like, oh, everyone knows you have it, something like that. So I think like these things where it's sort of like it makes you think of gameplay and a lot of different alternate opportunities if like you either do it or don't do it. And I think we'll talk about Lauren more at the end because she ends up using this secret advantage and like you have to think about a lot of different things like with the vote, like, oh, if she uses it we have one less vote this time, but oh, in the future, good for Lauren, like if it's like a 2-2 tie or 3-3 something, like she can use it and make it a not tie vote.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because she forced a tie where there normally wouldn't be a tie, and then like she'll be able to break a tie later. So I'm interested to see like how that works out for her. But we can talk about that more in the like next time bit.
Yeah, so I don't know, I feel like the main part of this episode was a lot with like the reward challenge and seeing how that whole thing, the reward challenge winner and like them eating plays out. So I guess like the reward challenge, the odd person sits out and doesn't compete, so they get to eat for free. And so I don't know, I sort of disliked this part of the reward challenge. I feel like they should have made them bet on a team. Like, oh, if Joe picked the team that won, then he would get to go on the reward food challenge, whatever. But if he didn't, then he wouldn't get the food. So I don't know. I feel like I liked the other version better.
The thing is, Jeff kept pointing out that he was getting like a free ride, so I feel like it kind of like made everyone realize that it was kind of unfair that Joe like got to eat despite doing no work, so that might eventually work against him.
Yeah, which I feel like the reward like winner, since he gets to go on it, he had to choose the order for like who gets to eat, and I feel like Joe did a really great job about like choosing the order because like honestly, if you won the put himself first, having not even participated in the challenge, like that's a real dick move. So I feel like him choosing to go last for that was like the thing that you have to do because you didn't even participate in the challenge. So I was really glad that that's what he did.
The thing is, I feel like Joe like did some good stuff, but then he automatically undid it all. And so that was kind of
Undid it all.
like when he started talking about like a tribal and stuff, and he started like talking about how Ben swore on the Marines and he got Ben pissed off at him, and like that pissed other people off, and it's like if you're gonna be a dick to someone, and he admitted that he knew he was gonna be a dick, then it's like, if you know you're going to be a dick to someone, just be a dick the whole time, you know?
Yeah, like yeah, I can see that. I feel like he had some good moments during the reward challenge winner, and then sort of like he does his usual thing where he like talks a lot, I guess, and like we see it at tribal council when people are like, "Oh, I can't tell if he's like super good at the game or just super annoying." But I don't know. I feel like rank or like whatever you want to call it is going up. I don't know. I feel like because Joe is now like the underdog, I'm more like, oh, I would want to see Joe progress in the game, or like the underdog healers progress in the game, rather than like Ben, Chrissy, and Ryan, who are like running the but you know, like it's sort of like the underdog thing where like I would want to root for him because I feel like the people running the show right now are very cocky and very condescending towards like everyone that they like want to vote out.
Yeah, I feel like they have no sense of like decorum, and they kind of take for granted the fact that like they're going to be on top. So, yeah, I'm just kind of, like you said, I'm more inclined to vote for Joe, or not vote for Joe, to like root for Joe and them because they're the underdogs.
Yeah, like that's what I feel as well. Like just like, oh, like I want to root for Cole now. And I think like I don't know, it's like the underdog thing. And I think Cole had a good episode this time as well. He's becoming like less not smart, I feel like, and we've sort of described him as like he's sort of going through the motions kind of thing. And then he was the first one to see the idol clue at the reward challenge. Feast that, and I think it was smart that he covered it up. But then Chrissy is also smart, and she knew like I'm going to look for clues. It's an advantage, like something has to be here. And I think Ryan, super smart to hide the plate. I think Cole should have done that at the like when he had the chance as the first person to like see the clue. And I feel like maybe that's something good to remember. Hide all evidence. Don't just cover it up because like people are going to be looking around. And I think that just goes to show like know what they're doing. I feel like they know the game super well. And like, yeah, I don't know. They just sort of annoy me now because they have so much power.
I feel like one of the things is Chrissy assumed that Cole hadn't seen the clue, which is good for Cole, or would have been good for Cole if he had actually succeeded in like getting the idol, because then Chrissy would have been like, "There's no idol here. What gives?" And so I feel like if Cole did a good thing by hiding it, and he would have done a better thing by destroying it. But if the game had played out right, it almost would have been better that someone else found it. Because I feel like not knowing who has the idol like adds a lot of paranoia into situations.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I was a little annoyed like when Chrissy and Ryan were whispering. Cole calls them out. I was like, yes, boy, finally something good for Cole. And I feel like, them whispering, saying like, oh, Cole isn't that smart. He probably didn't see the clue. I mean, valid point, I guess. But then it's like, you're freaking talking about him right in front of his face. Like, I was glad, like 100% that Cole called them out. I was like, finally, they get something that's coming to them.
It was also just like a little rude. Like, even if you think someone's not that smart, like, don't say, "Oh, he's not that smart," when he's literally sitting like 5 feet away from you. Not even that.
Yeah, and when it's caught on camera too, like that's sort of rude. But I mean, I don't know. I think the whole getting the idol thing worked really well for Ryan because now nobody, well, I guess we've seen the previews, but like now at this point in time, nobody knew that Ryan has the idol. So I think like nobody saw him get the idol. And then I think like that's really good for him at this point in time. But I think because next episode we see he tells Ben that he has the idol, that it sort of all goes to nothing.
Yeah, I feel like these people have very loose lips. So, yeah.
Yeah, loose lips sink ships, I think, was a quote from either this episode or the preview, and it's a Taylor Swift lyric. So I was like, ha ha, that's pretty funny. Ha ha. But I don't know. Yeah, I think it worked really well for Ryan. It worked not so well for Cole because Cole made like the whole scene, I guess, sort of about it with fighting Chrissy. And of course, like, Chrissy's the victim when like both of them go crazy digging. And then Ben becomes super annoying this episode when he's like super rude to Cole, just like he's like, oh, like, haha, bud, that wasn't smart. I've wanted to vote you out this entire time. I'm like, I don't know. I want to see Ben, Chrissy, or Ryan go home next week. And I think it's
Yeah,
time. The tides are turning.
I like Ben the best of that trio, just because like he doesn't seem like he's trying to be a dick. So I want Chrissy or Ryan to go home.
Yeah, and I feel like with the stuff that has been happening, I definitely feel like next week or the week after, something has to change. The healers can't keep going home. Their numbers are down to 3. Well, I guess like technically if you count Mike in there, but like I think if Joe and Cole can somehow get through next week's vote and Mike as well, I feel like they could go pretty far because usually when we see something like this, once like the minority gets to a certain point, they are able to get further in the game because they just wanted to whittle down the numbers. So I feel like next week or the week after, depending on like this idol craze, we'll see. Hopefully something be switched up, and I feel like, yeah, I don't see Ryan, Chrissy, or maybe Ben winning the game like we talked about last time. But honestly, I feel like Lauren is going up in stock, and like maybe even Devin could have like a weird win come out of it. But I really don't see like Ryan or Chrissy winning the game.
Yeah, I feel like Ryan and Chrissy, even if they did get to the final, I feel like everyone would just be like, you're honestly the most condescending little snot.
Yeah, and I think so. Going to the immunity challenge, like I was mentioning, like I think Cole had a pretty good episode this time. I think we got to see more from Cole, like now that Jessica is gone, R.I.P. But I think Cole needed to do what he needed to do at this immunity challenge, winning immunity. And I'm glad, like it switched things up. We saw shots of like Ben and Chrissy and Ryan having the like, oh my God, like who are we going to vote for now face when it was just Cole and JP at the final 2 for the immunity challenge. And I'm like, all of y'all's faces are so annoying, but I'm glad to see some of this stuff from Cole. We see Cole call Jeff Probst like sir. So I was like, interesting. Cole has some substance to him.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of what we see of Cole is kind of like bad stuff, just because like he has been kind of an idiot. But like, I don't know. I think it would be really interesting to see a Cole redemption arc before he gets voted out. But at the same time, I'm still annoyed that he was the reason Jessica got voted out. So
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think good for Cole winning the immunity challenge. I think, that's what he needed. And I think it was bad for Desi, maybe the first immunity challenge going into this second one where Jeff Probst is like, oh, like, keep your winning streak alive. And Jeff, like, and Desi made it quite far in this challenge as well. So I think, it sort of put a target on her back as like, oh, she's like sort of physical also. And I think Cole winning the immunity challenge, like, effed Desi over as to being on the chopping block because like last week when we said like Joe and Cole would probably be the first 2 to be booted. So now that Cole won immunity, I think like bad for Desi because they would never vote Mike over like Mike's too in the fold.
yeah, I feel like one thing is too like now that they've like started decreasing some of the healers' numbers, like Cole isn't going to be as much of a target. So I think it's also kind of annoying because they showed Desi as kind of cocky because like when she gave up her immunity idol, she was instantly like, Jeff was like, I have to take this back. And she's like, oh, temporarily. And so I feel like it was kind of a negative painting for Desi, which was interesting considering this is her boot episode.
Yeah, but I feel like I don't know. I didn't really like be like, oh, like I don't like Desi anymore because like she had that kind of comment because I feel like if you have like I feel like a lot of people say when they do win immunity like oh like not for long Jeff or like oh haha can't wait to like get it back and I think that's sort of normal and I feel like Desi has had that underdog story this entire time from like being with Joe and like doing that vote and like Alan going home all of that stuff to like coming to like this camp and being on the minority as well so I feel like I don't know I feel like Desi going home she's had a good story this entire time, and I don't know. Good for the Queen of Ponderosa, I think.
Yeah. I would have liked to see a lot more from Desi because even in her boot episode, we hardly saw her. So,
Yeah, and now there's only like what 3 women left in the game.
it's Lauren, Chrissy, Ashley. Yeah.
Yep. So great. It's gonna be a sausage fest now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, Ashley and Lauren probably. No, honestly, they all get in well with the guys, which is probably why like they're still there. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that the guys are eventually going to start becoming threatened by each other because they haven't. It's weird because they like talked about how Desi was a real physical player, but it's like Cole who are like super cut, and it's like you don't think that they're physical threats, but you think Desi is a physical threat. Like question mark, question mark, question mark.
but yeah, like we haven't really seen the alpha males go after each other kind of thing, which we will probably see soon as like there are no females left, so the males will have to alpha male each other. But yeah, I don't know. That's like the sort of annoying part I feel like about this season is like it's sort of stereotypical in a way, I guess. Like we've seen these characters in different archetypes vote a certain way, and I feel like I don't know. I'm wanting a change.
Yeah, I feel like we've both seen so much Survivor that it's like kind of difficult to like differentiate like, oh, this is this season and this was last season, you know?
hmm Yeah, so
So,
I think like before Tribal, they're like, oh, let's split the vote between Joe and Desi, and yeah, so then Joe and Cole and them were talking. They're like, oh, other people might split the vote. So they were like, oh, let's try to get Ryan or Devin to vote Ben, and we just need one. And I think, Ryan is starting to realize that Ben is dangerous. And I feel like Ryan would be more willing to vote Ben than Chrissy would. So I feel like, in the next I think Ryan would be the one to flip on the majority because I think Ryan knows like, oh, these people are playing a good game, but it all depends on the timing. And I agree with Ryan, like the timing for this episode wasn't the time to vote Ben this episode.
I thought it was really interesting just because he was talking about like, oh, I can't piss off Chrissy because she's one of my biggest allies, and I was like, you were fine doing it to Allie.
SMH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know. It's the timing, I think. Yeah, because we've seen people who take out their like right hand man or woman too early and then it like screws them over in the end. So I definitely think Ryan waiting is the right move. And I think I don't know. I feel like Ben's just becoming sort of more annoying to me because he just like doesn't like the people who are against him. So he's like, "Oh, I hate Cole and I hate Joe," just because like, "Oh, they want to vote me out." And it's like, "Okay, honestly, like I'm interesting to see if Ben has these like animosities towards like people who want to vote him out in like after the game or in real life because I could definitely see Ben as someone holding a grudge in real life when like, this is just a game kind of thing. Like no need to personally hate someone because of the game, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like this whole thing, I feel like a lot of people take it more to real life than they should. Like, I feel like the worst example of that is Survivor All Stars, but I feel like it's when you have a really good cast, then you can tell they're not going to take it to like heart, but this is not a really good cast.
Yeah, because like even when Allie went to like the pre-jury Ponderosa, she was like, Patrick still didn't even talk to her, that kind of thing, and he was like still visibly hurt about her voting him out. But like, you know, then it's like it's a game. I mean, everyone's voted out besides two or three people, and then only one person can win. So life is life. I feel like, you know, I'd be pissed off, but then you get over it, or you never get over it, and then you like die with this grudge. But two options here, really.
Yeah. And you have to like vote for someone at the end to win the $1 million. So holding grudges is really difficult because it's like if you hold a grudge against the two people or three people who go to final tribal, then it's like you're not going to be happy no matter what.
Yeah. So I think like going off the whole personal thing, I don't know. I think Joe had a sort of low blow with the whole Ben swearing on the Marine, stuff like that. But then like it did push the right buttons in Ben. So I mean, it's like a really interesting kind of thing. Like how personal do you like make your lies about people? And I think yeah, I don't know. That was my comment on that.
Yeah, I feel like it's really interesting because people always have the like, what lines are you allowed to cross thing in Survivor. And Dalton Ross, who writes for EW, I feel like he has a really good stance on it. And it's everything goes as long as you're trying to further your game. Like, if you lie about someone just for the sake of lying, then that's kind of stupid. But, like, Joe was trying to do something to further his game. And so I feel like it's more forgivable.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, so like personal blows for just like for no gain, I guess, would be allowed. So then would you think what happened in Millennium in what, Second Chance
Yeah,
would
I
be
feel like
considered?
I have a lot of feelings about that, but I just feel like you have to remember that even though you're playing a game, these people are still people. So it's like, obviously, you're,
Yeah.
like I said, you're playing a game, but playing a game does not excuse anything and everything. I don't know. I go back and forth about what I think
Okay.
is like permissible.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Sort of like it is a game, so you are like allowed to do these things, but up to a certain point, then like the line gets a little bit hazy. I feel like. So then it makes it really interesting. Maybe we'll do a podcast on that. What's permissible and what's impermissible on Survivor.
Yeah. And I feel like also situations change it so much. So,
Yeah, like every single thing is different. And yeah, I think like Lauren, we see, tells Ben about this advantage. And I think good for Lauren thinking about herself and her daughter. I think like whole mother thing, if she makes final tribal council, like that's why I think Lauren's stock is going up, because she has a good story as well, and she's like thinking about the future and making these moves. And I think Ben freaks out a little and tries to get Mike to vote with the majority. And I think good for Mike for like not being played and like being sus about the whole thing, because then, you know, you're just on the bottom. You're going to be like number 8 because they're just using you.
yeah. I feel like next week will definitely show like where people are going a lot more, because I feel like if someone's gonna flip, next week has to be that week. Because like a lot of people are getting a lot of information, and I feel like there are kind of hints being dropped that Devin is gonna flip. Because he talks about how like, oh, this changes everything and stuff like that. And I feel like realizing that Ryan like doesn't trust him as much as he thinks he does might change Devin's position.
Yeah, and even like Joe was like, oh, I'm like becoming closer with Devin, like maybe like he'll flip with me. I could see that. I think, I don't know. I think Lauren, Devin, if Devin has some more screen time in the near future, could be like viable winner options. And like Ben as well, I feel like if he becomes less cocky and annoying. But I think like tribal council, we see like, I don't know, Chrissy's just like too much. She like interrupts Ben and Joe's fight to make Joe stop talking. And I'm like, honestly, like this isn't your fight. Like just sit there and not talk. Like why? It was so annoying. I was like, why?
Yeah, she's drawing undue attention to herself, and I feel like that's kind of just like, what are you doing? Like, I feel like she's definitely becoming overconfident.
Yeah, and like good for her, like, oh, standing up for your alliance members, but then also like it was totally unnecessary. I think Ben can fight his own fights, and there's no need to cut off like two people to like just fucking interrupt also. Like you're all just interrupting each other, and then like the way she said it, it was just very off-putting, and I don't know, it's like she's scary.
Yeah, I feel like soon Chrissy's just going to end up pissing off even her alliance members. So, like, if I was Ben, I would be kind of annoyed that someone like would think that I need saving.
Yeah, and like yeah, she's everyone like people know she's super smart. They've seen her like do the math at the first immunity challenge, that kind of thing. And so I feel like with all of this on top of that, she's like sort of bossy. People will realize hopefully, and she'll be the first one out of this power trio to go because yeah, Ryan has the idol. I don't think Ben's going. I feel like they would vote Chrissy first, maybe.
Yeah,
But
I
we
feel
shall
like,
see.
yeah, we're definitely going to
Yeah.
see where this goes. And I'm excited just because I feel like the season might pick up if, like, there are actually interesting votes instead of just like the kind of stereotypical pick off the person on the bottom thing.
Yeah, and I
So,
feel like this tribal was interesting. I feel like they had it should have been a 3-3-4 vote technically with 11 people, and if Lauren doesn't vote, but then it turns out that Cole and Mike do vote for either Joe or Desi, so they were brought into the loop, and then it becomes a 4-4 vote Joe and Desi, where Joe and Desi each vote one vote Ben and one vote Lauren. And I don't know. I thought it was interesting because like if they didn't have the like tie votes thing this season like how they did last season, they would have to unanimously pick one, either that or go to rocks, but I feel like it would have been easy, I guess, since Mike and Cole were brought in. They weren't very allegiance, I guess, to pick one unanimously to go. And then I was just like, why pick Desi over Joe if everyone thinks Joe is a bigger threat? Like, why keep Joe around over Desi? I didn't think made sense.
like, I honestly like can't find a reason why you would vote out Desi over Joe because, like, yeah, she's a challenge threat, but the thing you see in Survivor is every challenge threat has an off day. Like, you're not gonna make it to the final three just by winning challenges. No one has done that before. So,
Well, I guess Mike did. Terry Dietz almost did.
almost. But, like,
But yeah, like honestly, like with the whole Joe Anglim kind of thing, like you can't just win immunity challenges and then get to the finals and then expect to win the $1,000,000. And I feel like you do need to have um, the strategy behind it as well, or like the social game. And I feel like maybe the reason they voted Desi over Joe is something that we didn't see on TV because everyone was saying like, oh, Desi's smart and athletic, but we never really saw Desi like talk strategy or be smart on the show. So I feel like that could be part of the reasoning that like they chose Desi over Joe. But like from what we have seen of Joe, I feel like Joe would have been like the bigger threat because he's like you can't predict him. I feel like he could blow up a lot of shit at tribal council or at camp. And like that's him playing the game, which I feel like is like very interesting. Maybe they want to keep him around because he's disliked and oh, like he can't win because he's disliked. But like honestly, I feel like doing that is sort of dumb because you never know like final tribal if like people will vote for who they think is like deserving and stuff like that.
I feel like it's very difficult because like sometimes players make decisions that aren't supported by the edit, and it's like we're kind of left in the dark.
Yeah. Do you have more to say on that point?
No, just like you said, people were saying Desi is both smart and strong, and it's like we really only see the strong part, and even then it's kind of questionable.
Yeah, one immunity challenge. Like, okay, then if anyone wins one, challenge beast, let's vote him out. And that's next Cole will go because he won an immunity challenge and he can have a streak. Like, honestly, I really hope it flips this week.
Yeah, I'm hoping that something interesting is going to happen. But this week is super exciting because it's the day before Thanksgiving and we get a Survivor episode.
True.
And I am thankful for Survivor. Yes. So.
Yeah, I think in general, I think good episode. Yeah, like we said last time, this is just setting up for like the big bang to come and like things to go crazy and some good votes to happen, I feel like. So,
yeah.
I guess it's sort of what we expected.
Yeah. I think that it's going to be, like I said, like I think 5 times already, it's going to be interesting to see where things go from here. So, yeah. If you guys have a prediction for how next week is going to go ahead and put it in the comments because we're kind of just like, it could go a lot of different ways, and we're always interested to hear what you're going to say. And then also put something you're thankful for in honor of Thanksgiving this Thursday. And yeah, because we're thankful for you guys and being able to do this.
Yes, 100%. We will see you guys hopefully before next Monday. So maybe Friday or Saturday, depending on how schedules and everything work out. So we will see you guys soon.
Bye.